Good morning. Welcome to Who Am I? I'm welcoming myself as well. Welcome to us all. Who am I? What is this thing I do every morning and call it who am I? I've been sitting here for the past few minutes pondering where I'm going with it today, where I'm going to go with it in today's program, because there's so many ways to do this. I can do this pedantically, and I can shake my finger at you and start lecturing you about the structure of the universe. Just the basics. I am a smart person, but I think we all are. And I think that when we look dumb, it's only because certain aspects of ourselves are poorly developed or out of alignment. It's not really an innate issue. That if human beings were raised to understand how cool they are, that more of them would love themselves and operate the machinery correctly and be seen and understood to be clever in their own way. I use the tone because I didn't, I could go, where is it? Clever in their own way. Each being clever in their own way. Instead, and actually that's what everyone is, but if you have any position where you're criticizing the world, where was I going with that sentence? I think it's helpful to ponder the question, who am I? And what is this world? How does it function? What's it really doing? How do I get more of what I want and less of what I don't want? How could I gently contribute to my whole people's greater success on planet Earth? I would like to see us not go extinct. I can only imagine that 8 billion people going extinct. It's not going to be a pretty sight, That means every one of those has to dwindle and perish in no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, and neither should you. And, I've thought about this my whole life. That's probably how come I came to the conclusion that we were having issues, because I've thought about us having issues for my whole life. I have come to recognize that the well-being that abounds around us truly does outweigh the other. The vibrational, relentless march of the expansion is one of the biggest reasons why you have to hope for our future. Now, if we are persistently unconscious about some of these things, we could go extinct. If we just persist in clubbing each other and fighting each other and pushing and shoving each other around the way we always have, and point to the past as our reason why. Well, we've always done it. Yeah, and it's always turned out poorly. Although, it is also true that every cloud has a silver lining, and that's not just a Pollyanna kind of, thing to say. Every negative has always brought forth a positive, but we just don't have to do it so roughly, so discordantly. We still do have problems on planet Earth. There still are things to be solved. Now, I want to be careful. I was just feeling this in my own mind. I do not want to come from a place where my whole position depends upon me, my raison d'etre, my reason to be, is a solving of a problem. The problem with that is now the problem needs to be sustained so that my reason to be is sustained. If I solve the problem now, my reason goes away. Now who am I? Who am I? It's funny. If you start thinking about this, and obviously I have, or I wouldn't have a show called Who Am I? I'm kind of feeling about it like, and treating it like a radio show. However, unlike a radio show, I'm not actually cutting in and out as much. It's almost like one on NPR, where there's no commercials in between, and so I'm just stream of consciousness for 2 hours. My topic is who am I? I draw from who I am. Obviously, now I'm trying to invoke my higher perspectives into this picture, that my non-resistant self, who can see more than I can see. And we all have this perspective, but you have to kind of develop it. You have to develop it. And so I draw her into the conversation, but I'm still here, little me, micro me, I'm also still here. It makes me different than some of the channeled personalities, like not Seth. We could talk about Seth, but I don't know so much about Jane Roberts and how she came to be channeling Seth. But for instance, and I'm not sure who Seth was, except I think he was an alternate personality. He was a different personality. He wasn't Jane Roberts, is what I'm saying. And Bashar is not whatever the guy's name is who channels him. And Abraham and Esther are closer. Abraham and Esther, it's not like she's channeling a personality that is, whole and a continuum of a personality from something other than himself. But it's like Abraham is absolutely non-resistant from this pure vibrational perspective, comes through Esther. And so a lot of Esther's there, but she's, I don't know how to describe it. So in this little Who Am I format that I do, it's like perhaps what I am attempting to do, or just whatever extent, is I'm marrying these two. I'm trying to be my Abraham and my Esther, joined together, knowing what they know. I've been thinking about it for a long time. So actually, my Esther, when she started channeling Abraham, she really was not a philosophical person. She was, and she would tell you that she wasn't really thinking deeply. Jerry was the one with all the questions. It's almost like the me that I am is Esther and Jerry added together. It's hard to be. It's a toggle, actually. You can't really be both of them at the same time exactly, except if you're, in as far as your micro self is capable of keeping up with the macro, you can blend. Well, you can blend in all kinds of other ways without being so hoity-toity about that. Anytime you are in a positive state of being in any sort, you are in that moment in alignment. The very next instant, if you flash into anger, you're not in alignment. So it's not like Esther says, it's not a college degree that once you achieve it, it's yours forevermore. It is, you're either there or you're not there in the moment, and most people flash in and out. You will be more sick. The idea of this whole thing would be the conclusion, the climax to this whole bit of information is, okay, so what am I supposed to do? Well, practice getting a longer sustained, a more continuous flow, a uninterrupted positive momentum going. See if you can do it. And if you do it, it'll reflect in all ways. You will quit seeing so much of the negative. Your peripheral vision, you'll understand, yeah, okay, I know the suffering's still there, okay? I'm just not looking at it right now because I'm really, really fascinated by this thing that has captured my eyes and my heart, and it's taken me away. It's so interesting. I'm compelled to keep looking this way. I can't stop looking this way. And that sort of starts carving your life's passion. That's what everybody's looking for. They're looking for who they are. Who am I? Who they are, who you are is your life's passion. How do you find it? Practice a positive momentum. Why would I do that? Well, take a few steps back, and I do this show because I'm trying to explain to you what your configuration is, just in general. I have come to understand, I have added it all up within the center of my own being, and very humbly do I offer this perspective unto humanity. And you may do with it what you like. I understand that each and every one of us brings forth only a perspective, and in that context, and that from that perspective, all perspectives are valid. It's like everyone is screaming, this is what it looks like from where I stand. And you cannot contradict that, because that's absolutely the truth. From where they stand, what they're looking at looks like what they say it does. The problem is, so in that sense, everyone is right. Where people get wrong is where they think that others are not right too. And we need to, now there's a lot of other things at play. Human power structures and power systems and overreach and over-abuse and blah, 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 blah. But all of those things, absolutely everything, up to and including the misalignment of, or the issues that you might have with every autocrat on the planet. And even our own little pet, precious autocrat wannabe, Donald Trump. That's the answer is always the same, but they have locked into their misaligned position, and they are chronically misaligned now. And it's the only thing that would bring any of them back would be love. I'm not sure how you could reach out in love and, bring Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump back into the fold. As a matter of fact, you're not going to bring them back into the fold. You have to go to where they are right and add them in. They're never going to see the error of their ways, is what I'm saying. That I'm not saying that we all have to go join them. Can't beat them, join them. Well, yeah, I'm not going to say that, because people will misinterpret the really obscure way that I actually mean that. You got to be careful what you say. It's on the interwebs. So, where are we in this conversation? Like I said, I was thinking about it this morning. Well, how was I going to approach this? Sometimes I'm more pedantic, and sometimes I'm more a little confused. My topic is, who am I? The reference is source energy. The reason I do this is because I believe that all woes, every single woe that humanity faces, including including all of the more mundane ones, all of the more mundane problems are coming from the fact that if we understood the whole picture, let me take a big run at this. Hold on a second. I'm going to pause it though. I don't want to go awry. Nobody should feel forced to do anything that they do not want to do. And we have finally produced a paradigm that for just a minute is going to produce something that kind of looks like that. We have more freedom than we have ever had. And all of this will continue to grow as long as we do not, in our Shiva energy bombs, do not destroy too much of the infrastructure that we have. The stuff that we have been building is wonderful, but a lot of it is it's not in alignment. And the more we keep building it out of its alignment, the farther we go down a physical road that's harder to come back from, and perhaps then the more necessary it is to bomb stuff out of... I don't want to say any of these things. I don't think bombs are necessary. I don't think destruction is necessary unless we just go too dang far with the stuff that we build that is not really in alignment with who we are and where we're going. Who we are is source energy. And in alignment with source energy is what we need to be in order that we be organized optimally. We have been organizing through a system that we have called the law for a couple thousand years, for many thousand years actually. The Jews, well, the peoples, all of the peoples, or many of the peoples documented in the document that we call the Old Testament of the Hebrew Bible. Let's say that instead of just Jews. I don't want to start I don't want to overgeneralize. That's when you overgeneralize and then go negative on top of it. That's what stereotyping is, and that's what's dangerous. Also, positive stereotypes that imply negative positions are really not pleasant either. It may seem positive, but it isn't really positive. I just saw an example of that go by on a Frasier episode. Marty keeps trying to generalize. He keeps trying to stereotype, but even the positive ones, watch out for the Asians. They're the smart. They're the ones that can spell, or whatever. I don't know. Stereotyping, not a good thing. Overgeneralization. Human beings don't really like it when you overgeneralize, and that's funny because that's what I'm all about, is generalization. And the reason I do that is because I have pulled back to a general position where I can see more of everything that's going on, and you can't be hyper focused on immediate details and be any good at being a general. Although, in this subject of who am I as a human being, I have discovered, I've had an epiphany about the necessity, in this case, if you really want to stay relevant, and you really want to stay humble and honest and realistic about the whole thing. I don't know, if you want to be I'm not sure what the word is. If you want to be in proper alignment with this, you can't forget your micro self. Your macro self can see the macro, but if you don't see the micro, then you aren't seeing it either. You aren't really seeing the whole picture, because it's micro to macro all the way up and all the way down. And it's like these energy fields of smaller and larger packets of the wholeness exchanging their scales and their information up and down the black hole structure of the universe. It's like that. You know, that's funny. I just jumped from talking about stereotyping and overgeneralization to a generalized overview of the universe. If you don't add in your own life and your ability to solve your own problems, have satisfying relationships, affect positive change in the immediate field around you, and let's see what else. That's pretty good right there. But if you can't do that, if you can't take care of your own needs, if you aren't good at working your own micro existence, then no matter how good you think you've got the macro going on, people don't want to listen to you, because if you can't even run your own life, I'll be damned if you'll run mine. Sunshine goes, whatever that song is. Yeah, you gotta have it going on in your own micro. And so I've been keeping it small. That's why you, whoever you are out there, you're the only one listening to me. My own family knows where I generally come from, but honestly, they're kind of tired of me always tagging back to this bigger picture of who we are and the laws of the universe, and confirming every step of my life. Everything that comes up that confirms these laws, I notice, and then I often say, and my family's really tired of it. You know, so I'm trying to kind of back off a little bit on that. It's hard though. It's hard not to hit the buzzer when you know the answer. The whole point of that though is back in earlier days, I have caught glimpses of what I thought was this big picture, and I have wanted to run on it in different ways. You know, most of them now I realize were negative ways, which is why my inner being didn't allow me to go very far. I just traipsed a few feet down an avenue of protest. My minute in politics. I took Tom Hartman's advice and I went and became precinct chair to my local political party. And I carried signs and showed up at demonstrations for, you know, we were horrified at the choice of cabinet, what that implied about the spirit that our government had turned to, you know, the naked fascism, actually. Fascism in the old sense of the word. It's not fascist in the autocratic, what am I saying? The old sense of fascism, actually, the spirit of fascism. What is the spirit of fascism? That's really the question. And the definition that I'm giving here has to do with a merging, a marriage, if you will, in the infrastructure of government and industry. They all get in bed together. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I help. We all get together in the Chamber of Commerce, you know, and we all discuss what would be best for the systems as a whole, which is what our government is. Our government actually represents where we come together as a whole and try to coordinate our systems. It would be nice if it was in alignment with source. But the design of it is actually, I, I don't know how it could be in alignment with source, the way that we play it out. And you might say it's a horrific structure, but then you say, yeah, but it's the best one we've got. It's the best one on the planet. This messy ass, whatever. America, I'm American, obviously, by my accent and everything. Southwest United States, it would be lovely if someday this message, this broadcast would go out to all. I would love it for it to hit all of humanity. But I have to figure out a way in my small self to divorce myself from me doing that. I don't want it to change me. I want it to stay anonymous. It doesn't matter who I am. I am anybody. I am anybody in the middle of America in this moment in time that's kind of freaky weird in a way. I try not to pay too much attention to it. I'm trying to pay more attention to this other thing because I think this is what will solve the other problem that I think is going to come and bite us no matter how we keep looking at the bright side of everything unless we understand it. You know? It's going to keep looking like this condition that keeps playing out in a dark way and across human lives, and I don't want it to. It right now in America, it's playing out as a kind of a caricature. And we are all sitting in a kind of privileged position where we can step back and watch this from relatively safe chairs, armchairs and whatnot. Even if the bad guys, or whoever you think the bad guys are, wins, we are still in a position where we can commiserate. I don't know. So remember, the show is Who Am I? And I've been blathering along for almost a half an hour. I haven't really talked about who we are. The idea is I come into this non-resistant space and I just stream of consciousness for a couple of hours, just on the topic of our common humanity. I want to talk a little bit about our vibrational structure because it does matter. It does point to the meaning of our emotions. Yeah, the first hit you get on a negative emotion is telling you that you did not, something in the field disagreed with you somehow. That's valid. It's okay. It should never, that vibration should never keep going and then color your overall sense of the meaning of all existence. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, that little negative hit that you took, or that hit, that your state of negative emotion is only telling you a something uncomfortable about something immediately in your immediate field. It really is not. That negative point of view is a mistake if you take it out to where you are evaluating the whole picture. If you are evaluating the wholeness of everything from a negative position, well, then you're completely off, because the wholeness has no negative at all. I mean, the wholeness is, I guess it has negative from a scientific point of view. There's things, energies that we call negative energies, and I don't know. I don't want to get too. I've wandered into the weeds, if you will. I don't want to always keep going back to say the exact same thing over and over, but that's kind of what it is. The way the show started was me taking a running try every day at my thesis presentation. My thesis being I believe that our misunderstanding of the general situation we've got going on. Now you can go find your own specific details, but you got to get into alignment with the general setup. Get the general setup in your coordinated, self, and however it works for you. Now, I go on in great detail, and that kind of helps you understand how it's working for me. But everybody doesn't have to do it the way I do it. I have brought myself into alignment. Well, I have brought myself into better alignment and stand a better chance every day of staying in alignment for longer periods of time. It takes more to knock me down now. I'm hoping to get to the place where no matter what happens, I can still see it clearly for what it is, and yet maintain a positive position for myself so that I can deal with it in a mature and constructive way, no matter what it is. No matter what it is, It used to be, you break a nail and you're out of it for the day, Your whole day is shot. Damn. Especially if you don't have a pair of fingernail clippers and now you got this jagged weapon on the end of your... No, I'm kidding. I've never been that passionate or volatile. Certainly not in a negative way. So, what do I want to do with this today? I find it interesting. I'm having a hard time getting over it, as a matter of fact. Day before yesterday, I got 14 watches. And at the same time, I noticed, and went back and looked at my archives, all of the episodes that I have posted before. I've posted over 100 of them, 108 or something now, some 18 of them being not public facing, and I'm afraid to put them public facing now because I don't want them to be put front. I don't want them put in the front of the line because they're from way back when, But day before yesterday, or actually it was the one that I put out on the 1st, I got 14 watchers on that one. I am shocked. I have no idea who these 14 people could be. And my heart leaps and then I look back at all the archived ones, and all of the ones that ever said 0 now had at least one watch. And my heart leaps, and I thought, oh my God, the FBI has found me. I've sparked somebody's interest. Somebody has, and then they've gone back and picked up, I've got somebody who's watching from the beginning. Actually, that's not true, because if that was true, then systematically some of these would be adding to it, and they aren't. And then the show before last, I get 14 hits, and then yesterday, over 24 hours has gone by, and nobody has watched that one, and it was particularly good, by the way. If you watched this one, and you did not catch the one that I posted that's labeled 7/2/24, who am I? Go back and pick that one up. That one's really good, and I don't understand what's going on. I don't know who's listening. I want someday somebody to hear all of this. I hope someday they do. I have an agenda, while at the same time I don't have an agenda. My agenda being higher awareness for all of us, because I think that our lower awareness causes us problems. It causes us to try to hunt down the culprit and throw them into jail and punish them. It's not just throw them into jail and soothe, love, and explain them back into society. Oh, you can't do that with those horrible people. Well, at this point, you can't. Because we are so much bigger than you realize that we are. This problem that we have on our hands is way older and bigger and farther reaching than we realize it is. It's as bad as it is now. People are as wicked as they are because we've gone as far as we have, mixing with each other without understanding how to do it with alignment, how to do it in alignment. The people in the churches, in a way, they understand, but many of them are way too fixated on their own specific brand of religion. And there are others who understand that there are aspects of religion where we all come together, but they still might be more competitive about which method of which one of our systems of relaying this religious information is better, yours or mine, and who's ultimately describing the truth more clearly. None of them, I say. It's me. It's me. Well, I'm trying to be as clear as I can, fair and objective and expansive and from a positive angle and inclusive, because it is all addition. You have to add everyone's in. It's like everyone's trying to describe the elephant. And so you can't say to anyone, no, it is not like a rope. It is like a sail. No, it's like a snake. No, it's like a tree trunk. No, it's like a wall. That's the blind men each standing at a point on the elephant, arguing. Are they arguing at all? So how is this picture going? If everyone is coming together and adding in, so the answer is all of us added together is the answer. We are one being. We are one morphogenetic field on this planet. And I know that that's incredibly inconvenient in a way. But it's not inconvenient. It's absolutely blessed. It's going to be our salvation. We've just got to understand who we are so that we can lean into our nature instead of fighting our nature. We are not in alignment with our nature, and so it's like we're push-pull, 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 and so we're not really getting anywhere. And then sometimes we break through and force things, and we're getting things done that I don't think we need to get done. In this show, I haven't elucidated anything clearly. I just started rambling about stuff. It's almost assuming that the person listening to me understands where I've started from. Who am I? Who am I? People are going to start wondering who I am. Who is this crazy woman? Well, I'm a boomer. I'm married very happily. I have lovely children, twins. I adore them. I'm kind of a hermit. I enjoy my own company beyond the company of. I like to limit my exposure to the specifics of the drama unfolding around me. It breaks through at times, and I have to deal with it in real ways. My environment here where I live, I would describe it as sanctuary, but not in a binary sense, not in a more of a binary rather than duality sense. Not a duality. It's not sanctuary from a dangerous world. I don't see the world as dangerous. I know that in my peripheral vision and in my greater understanding, I could explain to you how not naive I am about how dangerous this world is. how dangerous it can be, where we can get to if we let it get this far in our ignorance. We have got to add this together. We've got to add it up, and we've got to understand what spirit is the problem and how to find the spirit that is the solution and follow that to our safety. I do understand how dangerous it is. It goes all the way to Holocaust, people. All the way to Holocaust. And I'm not pointing fingers of blame at anybody. Not anybody. Not even the Nazis, not even neo-Nazis, not even the autocrats, I'm not pointing the blame at any individual. It is not. And yet there is individual responsibility. From my position, from where I stand, it's all responsibility, no blame. And on the other hand, you could point out all of the different players who are responsible for, the atrocities or whatever. But if we do not, as a people, understand how this field phenomenon plays out, how it works, how the field works, how this divine matrix works. The reason I put this into my program is because, and then I can go to this other part of my program where I can tell you how you can use this field and the laws of the universe and the way that it works. If you can focus your focus in the direction of wanted, you can make anything that you want come true. Now, this brings me to a topic that I think needs some discussion. I have run across somebody who has helped me understand a particular position. It's held by at least one church who is fairly guilt-driven. There's more than one that's guilt-driven, more than one really pretty main religions of the world, actually, who get a lot of juice out of the guilt factor. And I think that what they're misunderstanding in this is how our desire plays out in a good way, how the goodness of our desire plays out in the overall picture of who am I and what the hell am I doing here in this physical body, being tortured by life and the world. And I have to monetize, I have to capitalize, I have to engage in, this systems of crap, that have been handed down by my forefathers, or whatever. I don't know. I know there's a lot of people who are not doing well, and I'm trying to empathize with them in this moment, which is a little bit of a challenge for me in a way, because I am so happy in my life, but I have not always been so. And I've tried to remember who I have always been, who I was then, even as I am being who I am now. It's a trick. My whole gift, my magical gift, is the gift of addition. The ability to add more than myself in. And through doing so, I recognize that it's an innate ability in our own physical human equipment. It really is, which means everybody can do it. But you'd have to understand that the equipment was there and then intentionally, develop it. I sort of kind of fell into some of what I do accidentally. The way I add things together, it kind of makes my life a little bit difficult to run. As all through my younger years, I had to have periods. So I would live my life, and then I would have periods of time where I would stop and reflect on the meaning of it. And you have to keep doing it intermittently. You have to pause and do that, and pause and do that, and pause and do that, and pause and do that. And some people don't like to live that life that way. They are balls to the walls, seat of the pants kind of people. And I did it for a while. I did it gently, and then I kind of went all in with children. That was kind of an accident. Oops, didn't mean to do that. But then I loved them. Oh, I loved them. I love them still. Love them still. Wanted them to just kind of grow up naturally and just kind of be their own selves, be self-ambulating, and just head out into the world knowing exactly what it meant and how to be. I never really was big on telling them what to do or how to think or what to believe, and so they kind of went their own way, and with different levels of success. And now, as we all come to this place where I have realized the actual laws of the universe in the last few years. It's not new. I'm not the only one who knows these. As a matter of fact, it's amazing that I'd never met, for instance, the wisdom of Abraham in all the years that I was philosophically thinking about this and that. Why I never ran into that. The law of attraction is interesting. I met that book. I met it as a book in early 2020, found Abraham shortly thereafter. 2019, my daughter and I had been doing we'd been doing a study group, a weekly study group at the local community center. We'd been joining with some people studying A Course in Miracles, you know. We were on it. So we were trying to make a business happen, a business that was that would have been interfaced with China, working with teaching English as a second language through a internet interface, linking live teachers with Chinese students with a particular system. We spent quite a bit of money and chased down quite a few documents and learned quite a few things before that whole thing kind of went away. And you might at that point think that you'd failed at something, but if your assumption is, no, I haven't failed at anything, that was just somewhere in the process of that must not have been the right vehicle, but look at all of the things that I learned. And you never get it wrong because you aren't done yet. You're still in process. You're still in process. Who am I? Who am I? And what am I doing? And well, so she's been finding her way, and then COVID shut the world down, and in 2020, I spent the whole year practically in meditative thought, thinking about law of attraction, listening to Abraham videos, as well as other things, and actually full-blown meditations. I had lots and lots of, I found a something. If I had listened to this more recently, I'd know exactly the words. It's a rather famous Sanskrit one. Hold on. I think it's Sanskrit words. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. That was the meditation that I did over and over and over again that year. Not that that matters. All right, so I'm sorry, I got distracted there. So the question is, who am I still? Who am I? And why am I here? Where did I come from? Where are we going? Who are we as a species? Who are we as individuals? Who are we as powerful creators? Who are we as biotechnology? Who am I? Who am I? As you grow up as a human being, at some point in your life, you've got to find who you are. And I think that this little discussion that we have every day, if people would join this discussion, I think it would help them understand who they are. We all need to come together. and have a better general understanding of who we generally are and what this general setup is and how it generally works, so that we can all point our desires in our source direction and then follow them without guilt or shame or fear, or and coordinate our systems together so that it works. It's the only way we're going to organize 10 billion people on the planet, people. We're not going to be able to do it with law. You're not going to be able to control everybody. People will not be controlled. We're not going to go along this time the way they went along in if you study that what happened in Germany, we all did all of the pieces. Do you understand? You can't look at it and say, well, the Germans were the ones who were the bad guys, and then the Americans and the English, they were the good guys. Now the Russians, they weren't so good either, but the enemy of our enemy is our friend, and so blah, 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 blah. No, human beings did all of that. Human beings played every part there. And we're fixing to try to play that out again, although I'm not going to be hyperbolic. We have more of a caricature of what happened then going on right now, but it's sufficient to demonstrate the energies at play. If you step back and look at it without getting hyperbolic, without getting frightened in any way, just step back and from a position of, this is okay, whatever it is, look at it, you realize actually it's this same pattern keeps trying to play out. We just need to see it. We need to understand who we are and understand the importance of plugging into source energy. Source will organize us. How will she do it? Okay. First of all, she will do it through love. She will do it through our love. She will do it through what we love. But don't think of that in terms of the objects of love. Think of that in terms of the emotion of love, the vibration of love, the feeling of that. Now you in your individuality have particular things that are attached to that feeling of love. That it equals things that you love. People that you love, and colors that you love, and genres that you love, and stuff like that. And then when you look back through your past, all of the people that you have loved. Now maybe then you came to hate them. Maybe they're an ex. You loved them for a minute and then you hated them, and now you're fixed on them as an object, and remembering what it came to, you have left your love in the trail behind you. You have not picked it back up and realized that the love is what you should be following. Forget about the specifics. The vibration of that love is how we should be organizing. So how does this work in practicality? So I happen to know somebody who was telling me I think he's got his lines crossed in this way. Let's don't talk about it that way. Let's talk about it in a different way. Desire is the topic that I'm sitting here mulling over in my mind, trying to figure out how to talk about desire itself. We've got it all kind of messed up about whether we think desire is a good thing or whether we think desire is a bad thing. When a person is out of alignment, and especially if they are chronically out of alignment, their desires can become extremely selfish and destructive. It's exactly like a cancer cell. If they disconnect from the impulses of the allness of the body that they serve, that they are a part of, if they lose track of that and then just start serving the needs of this cell, the rest of the body be damned, that's cancer. When you lose contact with the impulse that guides you from the rest of the whole. Now, a lot of religions, they're tapping into this thing and they know it's real. They know that God is real. But the way they're defining it, or the way that they are almost making it a proprietary blend, a proprietary notion, instead of realizing that we are all looking at the same thing. We are all looking at the same elephant, people. We are all looking at the same elephant. And so what Abraham gave me when I started studying the law of attraction in 2020, when COVID shut the world down, was an understanding of my negative emotions. An absolute scientific, math-based, you can see it. You can absolutely see what the issue is on my understanding now of my negative emotions. So let's go to this picture. I'm always going to this picture. This is an important visual aid that I always use. This is the illustration of the source mind and your physical mind. I'm having a hard time right now because I've lost my energy stream. I'm not really sure where my impetus here is. Oh, I was talking about desire. And people have got the idea of whether they should desire or not mixed up. What you should do is get your desire in alignment with the spirit. So your desire should always be for a particular spirit. And as you hold that spirit and then engage with the physical world, great. If you lose the spirit, then disengage from the physical world as much as possible. Go general, go general, go general. You can still, it turns out, you can still engage with the physical world from a very general position. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just don't let your physical mind get too engaged if you're in a negative place. You can physically still engage if you can. I would advise activities that are more pleasing to you. Take a nap, put your feet in the water, go to the movies, eat popcorn, something. Go to the zoo. Quit trying to accomplish something that is just emotionally so painful for you. It's your inner being saying, I don't give a crap about this. If you would try to line up more with caring about the things that your inner being cares about, your whole life would come into bigger concert with the rest of the world, with the rest of the universe. And your dreams can play out on a larger scale. So what is the problem with desire? What is the problem with it, and what is the good thing about it? Well, first of all, the good thing about it is that your desire, where your pure desire is where your inner being resides. That's why you cannot shut off your desire. You can't turn it off as though it's virtuous to not desire anything. What's virtuous is you can start desiring higher vibrational spirits. Don't be so quick to find your spirit based on what you're looking at around you. That's too, that becomes too conditional. And you're vulnerable now, extremely vulnerable. You're not vibrational. You do not have your bearings if you, when you observe something that you do not like, it causes your vibration to drop. You got to get over that. You got to stop doing that. You've got to know that the world is okay no matter what happens. No matter what happens, you are okay. So, what is it that is virtuous to desire? If your desire is for clarity, freedom, harmony, joy, beauty, fun, abundance, satisfaction, harmony. Did I already say that one? If that is your desire, then your desire is blessed. Where the monkey hits the wrench, or the rubber hits the road, where it gets dicey, is where and how your physical mind is translating what you believe to be happening around you, and whether it's good or bad or threatening or whatever you're taking. How do you so your design is this. This is what your design is. You are designed to move in the direction of that which you desire from a pure perspective. If your analytical, if your physical mind was not engaged, you would just be moving toward what feels good, and you'd be moving away from what feels bad, and you'd just be doing it naturally. And you wouldn't be overthinking it, and your desires would be producing in the greater field around you just a little bit more of all the things that you desire. So you're a herbivore, and you just love this grass. You just love this grass, and you're looking for this grass, and you want this grass, and your desire for this grass is pulling forth from the grass beneath it, energy to grow the grass more. Our desire is creating the abundance around us. You cannot shut it off. If you want to be a contributor to the abundance creation machine around you, you've got to tap into your desire and find a way to believe it. And so you might have to change your desire. Say if you had a desire to run a fleet of let me see if I can come up with the right image that would be absurd. A fleet of mega, I don't know, whatever. But you don't believe that you can have it because, first of all, how do you express this? How do you express this? You have to get your beliefs and your desires into alignment with one another. And you may have to do a little bit of shifting on both sides. Maybe your beliefs are too rigid. Maybe your desires are not in alignment with what's best for you, what's best for the field around you. You're wanting it because you're not adding the rest of yourself in. Who am I? Who am I? It's a question worth asking. And I am on a journey myself. It looks to me like I have started this show, and I'm going to tell the rest of the world what they're doing wrong because I can see it. It's misalignment. Our systems would be perfect if each individual would follow their alignment and not put up with doing things that feel bad when you do them. It's just like, last century when the Holocaust went down, there was a whole lot of people who, in a big general way, sort of agreed with the ideas that the Nazis put out. That this class of human beings had to be eliminated from the greater group in order for the greater whole to be more healthy, sort of like taking out cancer cells or whatever. Of course, it was ridiculous and stupid and based on a lot of nonsense. And not only that, it required a whole lot of people to do things that felt really uncomfortable when they did them. But they told themselves that they were doing it for the betterment of their race, for the betterment of their people, their state, whatever they believed in, that it was all for the greater good of us, and you guys deserve it because you're less than us or whatever. And their bigger picture said that it was okay to do that, but their feelings all the time said, this is painful, this is wrong, this is stupid, this is terrible. It's what happens when people go to war, too. You go to war for the greater good, even though it feels bad when you do it. In actual fact, if you want to serve the greater good, follow what feels right within you. Choose the right when the choice is laid before you. And it's like the Holy Spirit guides. Na, 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 na. I'm gonna have to go look at those words because that is what that little ditty that you teach to children, what it's saying. Do what feels right within your soul. What feels right, follow the guidance within. Don't follow the rules from without. This is the push and pull between the law and the spirit, the law and source. We have been guiding our civilization for the last how many thousands of years by the law, and now we must do it by the spirit, but we don't overturn the law in a big fiery blaze so that the spirit can conquer or whatever, because that's not following the spirit. The spirit I'm talking about is every being following their source, which feels good, feels like love, feels like home, feels like ease, feels like security, feels like flow, feels like being one with everything. That's what that frequency feels like. It doesn't feel like discord. It doesn't feel like making war on your neighbor. It feels like finding the harmony point, the win-win position in the paradigm that we live in. The human operating system is an interesting thing. And what you put as at the top of the line of your iOS, your internal operating system, what thought do you put up at the top? What's the object of the exercise? That changes everything. What's the paradigm that you're starting with? That changes everything. Are you in a paradigm of dog eat dog? Are you in a paradigm of kill or be killed? Are you in a paradigm of win, lose, finite pie? There's a finite pie, and I have to amass, or are you living in a paradigm of we create more pie as we focus on the pie that we prefer? The more and more pie appears in front of us until there's so much pie that everybody has all the pie they could possibly want. And it's beautiful, and it's harmonious, and it's fun, and it's abundant. And life is supposed to be fun. Isn't that the weirdest thing you've ever heard? Life is supposed to be fun. If you're sitting in a position out there where you are on the raw and ragged edge of existence, you are having a hard time believing me saying that I think that life is supposed to be fun. Pardon me, I'm moving around. My legs are cold. So I gotta get a blanket. Life is supposed to be fun, you say? What? That is not. The meaning of life is I am being tested for my worthiness. If I am deemed worthy when I lay this body down, then I will go to heaven. And if I have been a bad person, I will suffer in hell for eternity. Isn't that that is such a horrible, 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 horrible philosophy. And you know what? It's also not true. It couldn't possibly be true. It feels so bad when you think it, that how could that possibly be true? It can't be. It can't be true. And I'll tell you why. So this picture right here illustrates, this is my representation of your source self and your physical mind self. You are these two selves. And that's why I started the show when I first started, I was talking about the necessity of, you can't just get the macro. You have to get the micro too. And really, in this day and age, you really can't just get the micro. You need to get the macro, at least in a general way. You need to at least understand the energies, how they flow. And then when you observe other people's behavior, you will understand how in alignment or not in alignment they are. Now, in reference to our presidential race coming up, in some ways it's almost irrelevant, because say you pick the one that is madly, wildly, chronically out of alignment. You could pick that one, and you'd get some bang for your buck on that one. There's a certain amount of Shiva energy going on there. There's a certain amount of bang force that you would unleash if you did that. We would all be in the midst of a really powerful step one moment that maybe we need to get through. It won't be as powerful as the one that we had last century, but hopefully it'll be sort of an echo mirror, so that we'll see the similarity and we'll go, oh, wait a minute, look what we're doing. Paul Levy calls this this psychic disease that we have, that we get, that we manifest. He calls it Wetiko. It comes from a Native American term, and they would use it to describe. They noticed that the white man, when he came to this country and colonized it, he noticed. The Native Americans noticed that the white man had this condition quite chronically. This is a problem that we have. And they would draw it by drawing bodies. The bodies and the heads would not be connected to one another. Your head and your heart. Your head and your body not connected with one another. There's Hopi drawings that show that too. The head and it's a Native American thing, this Wetiko. It's the source of the Wendigo monster, this energy within human beings. What it is it's the ability to cross your own energy stream. It's the ability to get these two minds crosswise from one another. Now, our problem is that It's not a problem, but I believe that this happened to us. And I think we need to look at it. I think we need to know it. I think we need to be more humble about it. I think we need to be more conscious about it. I think that we have the tendency to get scrambled because someone genetically modified us. They did. They bumped up our neocortex, which in essence is this mind on the right. They bumped it up to a higher degree of overview, which you'd think that would be a good thing unless you don't understand your system, in which case you start spinning out your larger view from a position of negative emotion caused by your lower brain systems. Now I'll show you what that looks like. Here's your diagram of your physical brain and its lower orders. So below the neocortex is your mammalian brain, in charge of all these perfectly legitimate physical responsibilities and functions of reaction to the physical environment. Perfectly, nothing wrong with it whatsoever. We are absolutely pinged to our environment, and the where we connect to it is through these lower aspects of our brains that are just responding to the environment, threats in the environment, threats to the baby, threats to my territory, attack, anger, fear, hate, jealousy, the mother love, all that kind of stuff. It's sort of hormonally generated. It's source, it's the whole field giving you messages that you respond appropriately to based on what is happening in the environment at the moment. Nothing wrong with your lower brains. As a matter of fact, as you achieved a higher level of neocortex, you didn't trade in your lower brains. It's just an overview mind that it's sort of looking at the whole picture. Well, when you start looking at the whole picture from a state of negative emotion, which your negative emotion is actually caused by hormonal responses of fear and threat that are not actually true from an overall position. They might be true from a momentary position in the field at this second based on energies at play. But when you're taking an overview position, like the meaning of anything, the negative emotion has no place. Your inner being knows that there actually existeth nothing more unto this earth other than positive vibration. That's all that really exists. And this positive vibration is in a continuum forming this rolling manifestation, this flux of continuous form is rolling out based on... Oh, I'm getting too esoteric. So earlier in the show, I was talking about what it is I might be doing, because I don't even know what I'm really doing with this. I'm not channeling someone that is not me. There is no outside personality that I am allowing to use my voice and my vehicle to come through. It's not like that. And I'm not Abraham either, in the sense that I am completely 100% without resistance whatsoever. I am a human being, and I have my eye on a couple of step one things still, that until I see a couple things change in my field, I don't feel like I can move on from this position. What I haven't noticed us changing is that we're not getting off fossil fuels. I mean, we are, but we're getting onto things like solar and, okay, fine, that's fine. But it's not, the really good stuff is still being suppressed. And until that stops being suppressed, the really good ideas will not be allowed to break through. Now, I also know that we can't stop it from being suppressed. You can instead make everybody understand what it is, and then they can't suppress it any longer. Then I think that we should have a national contest, a call to arms, if you will. But this call to arms is not a call to, everybody pick up a gun and go kill who the government points at and says, that's the enemy, that's the ones who are interfering with the business that we want to accomplish. Instead, what the call to arms is to call for good ideas for over-unity devices. Nationally, on the news, with the government, however you can get it out so that everybody knows about what has happened. What has happened is that for over a century, our government, through the Patent Office and the national security systems, has been suppressing over-unity devices. And I wish they hadn't been doing it, because had we incrementally been moving in this direction, then we would have been okay. Incrementally would have been all right. But maybe they didn't see that there was any kind of incremental, because once this breaks, then we have all the energy we need. And they felt perhaps that we weren't ready to have all the energy that anybody could ever need in the hands of everybody. Maybe they weren't ready. Maybe they didn't think we were ready for that, because we're still too warlike. We're still too antagonistic towards each other. We're still trying to live in a paradigm of kill or be killed, or instead of the paradigm of he who cooperates with the greatest part of the field achieves the greatest reward, the greatest satisfaction, the greatest success, the greatest productive potential, the greatest of all, has the most fun. He who cooperates with the larger part of the field moves the fastest in physicality, which I understand can be fun. Although I don't move very fast, I have a feeling that at some point, life and reality is going to crash in on me, and I'm going to have to move really fast. But I'm getting out ahead of it now, because when that happens, I intend on maintaining my emotional stability. I'm not going to get freaked out about anything, because I know that all is well. Source has me. Source has me in her capable hands. And if it goes all the way even unto death, I know I am safe. You are safe in this world, people. You are safe. 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 You are safe even in your pain. You are safe even in your death. You are safe. I know that doesn't sound right. Focus on where you are safe. Don't focus on where you are in danger. See that one on the right? That's the one that's in danger. See the one that's on the left? That's the one that's safe. They are both you. Which one's bigger? The part of you that's safe is way bigger than the part of you that's not safe. And there is a little tiny part of you that's not safe. It's true. The meat body that you inhabit for this space of time, this observational platform to existence that you have garnered, is not safe. It's true. It's made out of meat. Meat is not safe. It's edible. It expires. So who am I? Who am I as this small person who makes this show. Who am I? I am these two beings. And as I come into this show, sometimes you hear more of my small self, and sometimes you hear more of my larger self, and sometimes you hear a really good kick-ass mix between the two of them as I nail it, as I nail my position on the grid in this moment. Who am I? And what is my purpose in life? My purpose is to find a way to live my micro. Now, in this day and age, it also requires a general understanding of the macro, which is why I go to the macro. But I also realize that my biggest job is my micro. My biggest job is my smallest self. But the only way to live my smaller self is to know that I am my larger self too. And all things that my small self chooses need to be in alignment with who my larger self is. My larger self is also the rest of biology. That's a farther layer out. It's the rest of mankind. My larger self is all of mankind. And it is for you too. We are a superorganism. And our systems matter. The way we connect to one another, the way we communicate with one another, the way we distribute goods with one another, the way we manufacture goods. All of the big manufacturing should have rules of alignment built in. Just rules of alignment. They're general principles of spiritual alignment with the field around us. If we would do that, then everything that we build would be sustainable. And even on this planet with 10 billion souls, we could have a paradigm where none of them are starving to death because there isn't enough pie. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to get out ahead of. That's what I want to be a part of. That future. That future. And so I am in service to the allness as I do this show, Who Am I? But my particular task, me as a human being, my task is I've got to live my micro life. I've got to make it work with my spouse and with my children and with my pets, which I don't have any right at the moment, but I will at some point because I'm not going to keep traveling. And if I do keep traveling, at some point I might be able to amass enough of an aligned infrastructure of organization and cooperative components around me that I can move about the world, and the pets that I love will be taken in by other loving hands who will love them too and care for them until I get back. It's all of what I want. See, what you can want, your desires don't have to be selfish desires. Your desire can be for higher order in the field around you. And that's actually a selfish desire, but it's a selfish desire that is in alignment with the rest of the field, because the rest of the field doesn't mind you desiring the rest of the field to be in better alignment. That's not a problem. I know that if the rest of the field around me is in better alignment, then it's in its dramatic chaos, it does not bump into me and cause, less people who are under the influence of their pain body in any given moment will make the road safer, so that if I have a quarrelsome moment for just a moment and I go out into the road, I don't meet somebody else in their chaos and we have an accident. Order is going to bring a lot less chaos. But you don't have order from the outside. You can't dictate it from the outside. It has to be felt from the inside, and everyone from their position on the grid, which involves where they are both in space and time, that is their position on the grid. They are getting an impulse from source from that position, And they've got to be able to read it for themselves and then choose their own way. Choose what's interesting to you. Choose what you like. If something happens and something in disorder happens in your life, and that causes you to want more order in that direction. You're raised by an alcoholic parent, and so you either want to, soothe the alcoholic beast within yourself, or you want to help other alcoholics, or you want to help children of alcoholic parents to know how worthy they are, or whatever. That's fine. It's very possible that something in your life, that when you know what you don't want, then you know what you do want. And how skillful are you at making that pivot from the vibration of what I didn't want to, oh, I know, I've identified now what I want. And I can, in my mind, hold this thing that I want, that I don't see yet in the world, but I can feel its spirit. I lived its opposite, and so I know what it is that I want. And now I focus on that spirit, and everything that I do is to that spirit. And I don't let conditions that are different than that spirit knock me off of that frequency of that spirit. And what will happen is that the manifestation will start mimicking that spirit. If you go the other way, if you look at the condition that you've got and you're like, oh man, I hate that, I hate that, I hate that, all you'll do is just, all of your impulses will be aligned with that frequency, and so everything that you do will accomplish getting more of that, which is not what you want. You want the one that was born from the one that you had. That peace that you desire. Desiring peace is a blessed desire. Desiring freedom is a blessed desire. Desiring clarity is a blessed desire. Desiring love is a blessed desire. Now, where it gets not blessed is where you lock on to a desire as though it, from a physical standpoint, as a primary position. You can desire physical things, but your spiritual desire needs to be the primary one. So I desire, all kinds of physical things. In the course of playing or building or traveling or whatever, there's all kinds of physical things that come up that you want. You want your plane to be in good order. You want your the people who run the plane to have had a good night's sleep, and you want physical things. I have a hard time finding physical things to describe when I'm in this place of pure thought. The physical things are far away. The thing is put the vibration primary. Now you can think about physical things, but it's secondary. Keep the vibration primary, and then, so if loving, kindness, cooperation, abundant, joyful play, or whatever that spirit, if that freedom, if that's the primary vibration, then what flows from that spirit, it doesn't matter the details, does it? Doesn't matter the details. All the details will be delightful, will be joyful, will be life-sustaining, and for everyone concerned, for a bigger part of the field than just you, the cancer cell, but for the whole body, it will be a good thing. So I think it's worth asking this question, who am I? And I do talk about fossil fuels because I know that a mathematical understanding of source energy, the source of all matter, the emergence of matter, and the origin of gravity, or the nature of gravity, the origin of mass and the nature of gravity. That's it. Our mathematical understanding of this will bring us our ability to plug our civilization directly into source energy. Now, maybe we can do this collectively through big projects, big things. We can do it incrementally to start with by just utilizing over-unity devices. What is an over-unity device, and what place does that have in a philosophical conversation about who am I? And the soul and God and the Almighty and the inner being and the vibrational. What does that have to do with well, hold on a second. So an over-unity device is a device that puts out more energy than it takes to run. Now, we have been taught that that is impossible. And the reason that we've been taught it's impossible is because, I don't mean the motive. I'm saying that how we think it's impossible is because in a closed system, you can't create energy out of nothing. But the thing is that there is nowhere where there's nothing, and there is nowhere where there's no energy, and there is no such thing as a closed system. So there absolutely is the ability to have a device that running in some way is actually putting out a little more or even way more energy than it is taking to run it. Those devices have been deep-sixed, often along with their inventors, by our security state and our patent office and our all kinds of national security interests have shut those things down because they have not felt that that was going to be a good thing for us. Because, we have all this infrastructure in place that is us manipulating the fossil fuel, as digging it up and refining it, and all the ways that it is used along the way, and all of the supply chain, all the people involved in the distribution and the development and if you twinkled your nose right now, in an instant, gave us free, clean energy everywhere. And it would be almost like that. It's going to be so quick when it happens, it's going to feel like that. If you twinkle your nose and that happened, the situation that we have on the ground is that millions and millions and millions of people would immediately they wouldn't have any work. They wouldn't have any thing that they're doing that has any momentum or continuum that tags them in any way to have a right to any of the supply chain that humanity produces. They wouldn't have any money. There wouldn't be any way to support them. There wouldn't be any way to guarantee that they have food and shelter while we adjust to that. And it's going to be almost that fast when this finally breaks out, because it's so big. It really does solve all humanity's problems. Of course, it creates a whole new set of problems. But it also carries with it a clearer roadmap to how we get out of our situation, how we find our way to a world of peace on earth, goodwill towards men, where a planet with 10 billion souls are interacting peacefully and distributing goods sustainably with one another and communicating with one another efficiently without agendas interrupting the stream of conversation. We ought to have free, uninterrupted ability to communicate all things to all people. So I should have access to all the library of humanity. And in a way, all of humanity does have access to all information. You just have to follow your source to find any of it that is relevant to you. If it's relevant to you, your source will help you find it. And if it isn't relevant to you, you don't really need it anyway. You need the information that will help you find your joy, find your place in this world, find your place in the system, because we are a system, we are a superorganism, we are made of systems, and we can't be ignorant of that. Don't you just hate it when you come up against a system that's really, really stupid? When you sit at a light, for 5 minutes and there's nobody in any direction, and you sit there at the red light going, this is dumb, this is dumb. I could go, but that doesn't solve the problem. We've got a problem with this system. Source could help us organize it all into beautiful, life-sustaining, loving, joyful, fractal, integral patterns of organizational abundance. How's that for a word salad? Source could help us do that. We just need to understand what source is. What is source? Well, it's spin. It is this Planck field that gets thrown into spin. The appearance of everything in the physical world that you can see is a result of this Planck field spinning. When it's not spinning, it just looks like there's nothing there. It looks like space, but there's no place where there's space. The space isn't space. I mean, it's this field that's touching itself. We're kind of looking at it backwards. We look at it and we think that there's almost no matter. It's really the other way around. We're looking at the negative. The positive is isn't that funny? Isn't that funny that it's kind of like that? It's the reverse. So what did I just put up? I didn't just put it up. I put it up a while ago and then didn't say anything about it. The Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity, the paper. Here's the full abstract. You could pause this and look at this. You could also take note of where I have found this, up to even and including the URL up there at zenodo.org/records/ and then there's a number. You could just copy that into, well, you can't. I don't think, because this isn't a document. You're looking at it as a YouTube thing, so you're not going to be able to copy and paste that. But you can pause it and go look at that paper. Full abstract. Here's my neocortex diagram. I claim that I think we've been genetically modified. The reason I do is because of human chromosome number 2, which is largely responsible for that inflated neocortex, and which in the neocortex, that configuration is responsible for our complex emotions, positive and negative. It's actually our overview mind. Somebody gave us a bump. It's a fused chromosome, fused in a very special way. And right here, we conclude that this is the relic of an ancient telomere-to-telomere fusion and marks the point at which two ancestral ape chromosomes fused to give rise to human chromosome number 2. Now, they're not saying that someone fused them. They could have just fallen together accidentally, and purely naturally somehow. Maybe. I doubt it, but, they're just saying that these are fused. And the two that are fused are of a lower order. Anyway, it's responsible for our emotional guidance scale when you are out of alignment with that larger self that you really are. That larger self that you really are. You feel negative emotion, which is your call to disengage from the reality, from physicality at that point. You can disengage right there. You can re-engage. You can find your way back in. Put your boat back in a positive place. But as long as you're in a negative state, you're not helping anything. I have this little picture, your 4 general states of being. Positive and negative, general and specific. The specific is the gas. The general is the brakes. So if you find yourself in a specific negative, pull back to the general because you're going too fast. And your specifics in the negative are just going to build momentum in the negative. It will get you nowhere that you want to be, except for farther where you don't want to be, which might be clarifying to you. I really didn't want to be. Oh, I get that. I understand. I really do want peace. Or I lived with someone who was full of drama and negative emotion, very passionate negative emotion, no understanding of their own emotional guidance system, and very conditional about things that they would point at and they were so sure about. Playful and joyful and sweet in a lot of ways. Very in the game in a lot of ways. Different than I was, and I needed a dose of that. But honestly, when he passed away, the very last thing I ever wanted was another dramatic spouse. I wanted some peace. I wanted some drama-free. I wanted some logic, and I got it, actually. That is a good way to describe the spouse that I've got right now. Fairly neutral, definitely not dramatic. He takes all things in wonderful stride. And I am so glad that he is capable of doing that, too, because we've all been giving him some growing pains over the last few years. But I believe that we are headed in magnificent directions, that we were all headed for other directions. Bankruptcy or jail, divorce court, or I don't know. I'm just trying to give out examples of what human beings do when they head in directions that they don't really want to go. Dramatic places that I don't want to play out. I like my sanctuary. I like my sanctuary life. I like being able to sit back calmly from a place of security within myself and observe the greater picture of history rolling past me and current events, unfolding in front of me. I don't want to have to be chasing drama around the lives of other people around me who create their own drama because they don't know who they are. I don't want to do that. And so instead I do this. And it is in service of others understanding it. But even if this never comes to light, if other people don't ever really listen to this oral meditation helps me a lot. Helps me as I live my life and things come to us and I become almost unflappable. You cannot flap me. I know that we are all right. I know that I can see that actually us being afraid that we're not all right is what causes all the problems. Us not being in touch with our knowing that we're all right is why we build systems that are not sustainable. It's because we're taking impulses from places where we are not in alignment, and then we build structures in spite of whatever that are crushing and stomping on the systems around us. Source would guide us to a win-win position, to buildings that human beings live in that don't have to completely destroy the environment around them in order to create this human environment where we can move quickly and our houses are bug-free and connected to roads, and then it has to have wires bringing power to our homes. None of this is necessary. Did you know that? None of this is necessary. If we understood, so I believe that this new mathematical understanding is going to free us from gravity. And freedom from gravity is going to mean that the next iteration of our personal transportation vehicles do not have to hug the surface of the planet. They don't need tires per se. They're going to need different things, bumpers and different kinds of location devices so that we can fly around the planet without running into each other midair. We don't want to be doing that, right? Well, it's going to be easy to do this. But all of our systems are going to change. Did you know that? And they're going to start changing pretty quickly. This information is there now. We understand how to do this. We could do this if we were in alignment with ourselves. We could just move and do this. The problem is we've got this really strong momentum doing other things. Well, fortunately, we're probably getting ready to either re-elect, well, from back, so it's a non-contiguous. He's been elected before, but he's not the one this time. We're going to either elect the wrecker, who's going to contribute to smashing the system in some places, which is going to put stress on other places of the system, which is going to cause us to rise up and things are going to come down. And so then out of the rubble there, then now these new understandings can take root. It could happen that way. We could also get out ahead of this. We could see it coming and understand where we're really going with this. We could do it a little easier, a little more incrementally, a little more gently flowing down the stream. Merrily, merrily, life is but a dream. That's so true. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Please, this is so true, people. This is so true. When you resist life and its flow downstream, you create. This is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to feel good. Did you know that? What? What else do I want to show before I'm done with for the day? Because I'm coming up close to 2 hours. Have I gotten any farther than I have gotten in times past? Why did 14 people watch on the first and 0 watch on the second? I don't understand that. I also at some point need to put some sort of infrastructure in place for people to make comments to me. I think they can make comments about it. I don't know if they're commenting to me. Somebody commented back once. They said, "Welcome back." It was when I came back from New Zealand. I don't know who that was. Is it my one true fan? Do I have one person who is watching it all who is thinking, who the hell is this person? I need to know who this person is. Or maybe it's someone who already knows me and they already love me. And they're like, oh, I just want to know what da-da-da-da-da is doing. I never say my real name. I don't think my real name really matters. It's probably on my YouTube channel, so you can go look at it if you want to, but who I am doesn't matter. My alter ego is Amelie Starchild. I have toyed with the idea of making my name Amelie Starcraft as opposed to Starchild. They're both good. Starcraft because I am this vehicle flying through space. Starchild also works because I am a child of the universe. I am a child of the stars. We all are. The stars are way closer to us than you could possibly imagine. You don't have to go out there to find them because they are all of the universe is within you. And the reason it is through this fractal holographic nature of it. The quantum field, people. I come in here and say this every day. If I didn't say it wholly today, go back and watch previous episodes. I've said it so many times. Over 100 times have I posted onto YouTube these videos. I've done it about 60 more times than that too, because I have about 60 of them that I never posted to YouTube. I started posting in January. It is now July, so I've been at this for 6 months. Who am I? And what the hell is my purpose in life? Well, I'm old enough that we're retired, so I don't have to find my occupation, as in my career. I don't have to find that, but I still need to find a reason to be, relevance, a way to roll with the punches, a way to be flexible with a changing, ever-changing world. The world that I was raised in, the world that I was born and raised in, does not exist anymore. It's different. It changes all the time. Our memory of it, we cling to it because it gives us continuity. It gives us a sense of having come from somewhere instead of being just like disoriented. Anyway, I feel myself getting ready to charge into a diatribe of some sort that I have no time for, because I am almost at 1 hour and 57 minutes. I gotta close this out and start my micro day. This is my macro moment, and now I'm gonna go to my micro moment. Today is 4th of July, so the family's coming over. We're gonna have something of a barbecue. One of the spiritual sons-in-law that I have a couple of sons-in-law, although they aren't in-law, they're sons in spirit. One of them is in the process of organizing my garage for me, and for mutual benefit to us all. And I am going to create a American-style barbecue with hamburgers and hot dogs, watermelon, corn on the cob, potato salad, root beer, the whole American picture. So I gotta go do that. Go take a shower and all that. I guess I gotta go. Until tomorrow, I'll be back. I may not be back tomorrow. I have irrigation to do at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And if I do this show after 6 o'clock, I have a harder time hitting the high notes. So maybe I'll see you Saturday. If you miss me, there was an episode that I posted day before yesterday that as of a few hours ago nobody had listened to. So go listen to that one. And listen to this one today. And I'll see you probably Saturday. Until then, you know where I'm going. I wish you well. Well, I bid you peace And please align with and let your source be with you. May the source be with you. Amen.